about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
To infinity and beyond!
Some people without brains do an awful lot of talking, don't they?
It's classified.
You talking to me?
I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you.
I can't lie!
Expecto Patronum!
Entertainment X.
You never know what you're going to get.
I get to talk with Nova Bergeron on the phone for this episode, and we chat about challenges in life and how to overcome them, how she's overcome them, and how she stays balanced and continues on her journey and her path. It's really a wonderful conversation, and I hope you enjoy. So keep on keeping on. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are back with another episode of Entertainment X, and today with me is Nova Bergeron on the phone. Nova, thank you for chatting with me today.
Thank you so much for having me, Clay.
I want to jump right in here and start talking about the beginning of time, if I dare say that for you, first inspirations in theater and dance. I want to start with Solid Gold. Seeing that, what did that do for you?
I think that awakened my joy of dance, standing in front of the television at a very young age, seeing the colors of the leotards and the movement definitely sparked something within me.
Had you been watching a lot of dance on TV prior to that, or was that like the first memory for you of seeing dance?
That's the first memory, actually, of seeing dance. My next memory was seeing a chorus line at the Providence Performing Arts Center when I was about 10 years old. That was my first kind of live introduction, and I was just so drawn to what I saw on the stage.
Was there a character in particular that you related to with Chorus Line?
Gosh, I think every character.
Okay.
There was something in every character that I connected with in some way.
Yeah. I saw it actually in Florida. The Non-Equity Tour was rolling through Florida 2 months ago, and I saw it, and I totally forgot the stories that they're telling in that show and how relevant they are today.
Yes.
I mean, it's insane. And then especially to see, depending on where you are in the country with people's mindsets and views and what have you, to see the group that was in there over 50 watching this show being thoroughly entertained with, nothing and like all those songs. And yet I was watching and I was like, oh my goodness, they're literally talking about homophobia and, fear of another race because of skin color. It just blew my mind.
So it's so relevant. Yeah, it's so relevant. I think that's what the beauty of art is. It transcends time. And there's relevance in everything you see. I think whether it was, something that was misrepresented in the past through theater, and we're waking up now and we're seeing it. Or the stories being told on stage, like you're saying with Chorus Line, we're still fighting these battles.
Yeah. It's incredible. I mean, it's incredible to watch, but also like I'm sitting there and on either side of me, I have to look to my left and my right. And I'm like, is anyone else hearing this? like really
right.
At the core of what's being said right now, is anyone else like hearing this? Oh my goodness.
You really hope so. That's the dream.
You do. And now I'm going to talk a little bit here about life happening for you and like, dare I say, circles of life. So I want to start with Fosse. You saw it and then you were in it. And I'm kind of curious just what that experience did for you.
Well, when I was in college, I majored in dance. And I was kind of finding my way, like what was speaking to me, which style of dance. I thought I was going to be a modern dancer, a contemporary dancer. And we would do these little musical theater benefits every year. And I was really starting to get drawn to that. We didn't have a musical theater program per se. Things were pretty separate in our university, but we would do these productions, and I'm like, this is really cool. And it was kind of full circle to go see Fosse and realize this style spoke to me more than any other style. So I started researching Fosse and just getting to know, him and his history and just the style itself. And when I moved to New York in 2002, the non-equity audition came through, and I astonishingly got the show as a swing at first, and I was beside myself. I was absolutely beside myself. I couldn't believe I would be able to do this body of work. Yeah.
Wow.
So, it was really quite special. It's a style that, even throughout my career, has been my favorite, has been the thing that just feels like it fits like a glove, physically and just maybe even spiritually, it just feels right.
Is dance your spiritual practice?
It absolutely was, yes.
Okay.
Yes, that was how I communicated my past. My childhood was, there was some neglect, and it wasn't an easy childhood. So I'm a very shy person by nature, very introverted, and I didn't really speak much. But when I moved in with my stepmother, her daughter was on stage in a recital. I was 5. And I remember seeing her on stage and saying, I want to do that. She got me in dance class. And the rest is history. That's how I communicated. That's how I expressed myself.
Wow.
From then on. Yeah.
Was there any pushback that you received from people in your life on get a real job? Or was this always just, this is what you're going to do? You're going to pursue dance?
There was really, I'm really lucky to have, my stepmom, my father, never questioned my dream.
Amazing.
There was never pushback at all.
Amazing.
I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky. I got some pushback from my teachers when I got a cruise ship job right out of college. I literally flew to, on the day I graduated college, flew to Miami for rehearsals, and they were a bit like, well, you'll either come back pregnant or engaged, and they just didn't believe in the path I was taking. I just wanted an opportunity. I wanted to move to New York. That was the big dream. So that was the kind of the only pushback I got in my career as far as not being supportive.
Why did you do the cruise ship?
I wanted opportunity. I wanted to save money.
Yeah.
And I knew it was a path to New York City. Yeah, so that was my first professional job out of college. And I don't regret it one moment, because it taught me so much about being a part of a production show and the backstage life, and it was a wonderful path to start my career.
Yeah. Was there a standout moment backstage or working on the contract? Any lessons learned that stand out in your mind specifically?
I think being a team player, being compassionate with one another.
Yeah.
There's a lot goes on back there. And a lot of lines can get crossed very easily in our profession, especially with, dancers, with the quick changes. We're usually in many different ensemble numbers. So there's a lot of lines that can be crossed. And I think I learned very quickly to protect myself,
Of course.
Yeah.
Now, is there a story in your life or a time when you got in your own way, or how you have gotten out of your own way and kind of let life take its course? Is there anything do I spark anything when I ask that question?
Yeah, I think actually it's my injury that ended my career about 5 years ago. I think that was my awakening. I never quite believed in myself throughout my career. Yes, I've been on Broadway. Yes, I got to do these great things, but I never quite found a feeling of self-compassion for myself, or a belief that I was actually good enough to do any of that. And until I was injured and lost the love of my life, that's what I call it, because it really was, I was really able to find my worth when everything seemed to feel stripped away. When my voice was taken, I was able to find that through many years of reading and understanding chronic pain, and it's been a blessing, actually.
Has the injury humbled you?
Oh yeah. If I wasn't humbled before,
Yeah, right.
I mean, I learned, yeah,
Right.
right, exactly. I was like, oh my gosh, this really took me to level one of starting from scratch. Who am I without dancing? Because it was completely intertwined. There was no separating me and dance. That's who I was. And I had to find a way to understand who I was without it. And that was very, very difficult for a very long time. Yeah.
I'm curious. I have a question for you that I didn't write down. I'm curious. Is there a reason why you didn't feel 100% fulfilled, even with all of the Broadway and the work and the dance?
I felt fulfilled with gratitude for what I did, but I didn't feel worthy of it. And I think part of it is from some of the things that occurred in my childhood that I kind of took with me. And also, I think it's part of the culture in dance, at least in the generation I grew up. Dancers are commonly abused in a way of, it's never good enough, you're not thin enough. There's a lot of not enoughness within our culture, at least, like I said, for my generation. And yeah, I think that definitely plays into it. It's a combo.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just curious about how have you at this point then dealt with that?
I think, gosh, there's so many different prongs to it, but I think I think gratitude has really been the path for me forward. What is life without the thing you love most, and how can you still get up every day and face the world with all of that stripped away? Because it becomes a choice, right?
Of course.
I didn't have any armor. I just had my existence. And for my life, that was never enough. So I think I didn't have a choice in that way of, well, if I want to survive this, I have to keep moving forward and finding the seeds, whether it was the hot shower. I mean, it came to that.
Yeah.
Enjoying a hot shower, just looking out the window at the sky. I mean, that's how basic it became for me to start moving forward.
Do you practice
So gratitude.
Do you practice that daily?
Yes. Some days are harder than others.
Oh,
yes,
the honesty.
Daily. I know, I'm being really, really honest with you right now. But yeah, gratitude is a daily practice. It's very, very easy to forget the gifts in your life.
It is, and it's the simple things.
Even when you're going through pain. What's that? I'm sorry?
No, you're right. I'm agreeing with you, and I'm saying it's the simple things, like a good-tasting apple.
Oh, my God. Yeah, the feeling of water, running over your hands. It's those very simple moments in life that make up life, right? The small, seemingly small moments that are actually the pieces of life itself. Instead of waiting for something better to happen, it's about being present. Yeah.
Do you journal in
that
the morning?
saved my life. I go in and out of journaling.
Okay.
I kind of hit a stride and I'm feeling like I'm expressing myself and I have a lot to say. And then I'll go sometimes a few months without writing. So it kind of happens, kind of ebb and flows for me.
And yoga is a big part of your life?
Yes, it has become a very big part of my life. I kind of realized a few years ago, as I was recovering from my injury, kind of what is it that feeds my soul? And I was realizing, self-compassion and gratitude, and it started weaving into, it felt very yogic. So I finally, when I felt physically well enough, applied to Kripalu Yoga School. and I got accepted, and I just went a few months ago. I got my 200-hour teaching
Oh, congratulations.
certification. Thank you so much. Thank you. It was a very exciting time. It felt like a new chapter blossomed once I made that decision.
I love that. Are you rotating between different types of yoga, or do you focus on one in particular?
You know, Kripalu yoga, it's in itself, it focuses on kind of, you can do a very basic kind of hatha yoga and focus on centering and breathing, and then you do your postures, and it's not about competitiveness or, you know, who can do the pose the largest. They really encourage modifications. So that's what I really was drawn to with Kripalu. Because I have limitations physically, I felt very welcome, and then I felt really empowered to kind of help others who may also have limitations or chronic pain or whatever it may be, that they're welcome, that all are welcome in a Kripalu yoga class.
Yeah. Wow, I love that. What did dance teach you about communication with others that you now use today?
Such a great question.
Thank you.
It's such a great question. Because I used it as a form of communication for so many years, I think it gave me more courage to be in my own body when being with others. Because like I said, I was very, very shy, and I'm still introverted. I still really love my solitude, and engaging with others. For a long time, I felt very self-conscious, like I was in the way, or I was, and that's where my injury came in, and I've learned to take better care of myself in that way. To know that, oh, it's okay, I'm not taking up too much space, like I'm allowed to be here. So the injury definitely helped me in that respect, but I think dance definitely gave me courage to at least just be in my own body and be able to communicate a little more easily with others.
Has dance given you permission to do more, be more?
Yes. It was absolutely my vehicle to get through the world.
Yeah.
That, first and foremost, I think that's all I knew since I was 5 years old. I just knew I finally found something that I could live inside, which is beautiful in some respects, but also when the injury came, I didn't know what to do, because I had only knew that dance was the vehicle forward. So it saved my life. Dancing absolutely saved my life.
Wow.
And then the injury, I think, was a real marker for me to then discover my self-worth, which seems so silly because you think, oh, you're worthy, you're doing it, you're living your dream. But it was something that I don't want to say I hid inside of it, because I don't want to badmouth my experience with dance, because like I said, it did save my life and it brought me to where I am today. And I'm so grateful for it.
Yeah.
But I do realize the codependency that I had with it. I didn't know how to separate myself from it. It took many years to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. The injury itself, without like unpacking that, we don't have to go into detail with it. I'm curious though, was there a moment of putting an empowering meaning behind it or giving up?
Yeah. It felt like, for the first couple of years, it felt like, we'll do this surgery, we'll see how you do. It was that hopefulness, right? I was living in that hopefulness of, we're going to see what happens and get back on the stage. First, it was a 6-week medical leave. Then we realized the injury was very severe and couldn't be just healed with rest. So it kind of started chipping away after that first year, I started realizing this is going to be a new journey. So I think in 2015, when they said they had to do something that was irreversible, it's a foot injury, so they had to fuse a part of my foot. I think at that point I realized it felt like there's no going back, and every doctor has told me that. Once you fuse this, you cannot dance anymore. And so I think that was the turning point for me to realize I'm not going back. So how do I find my way forward? And I think that's when I started really delving into that whole journey, like I was saying about self-compassion and worthiness and gratitude. Because that was my only way forward at that point.
What was that? Is there a moment where you were sitting or standing or thinking of, I'm going to make this choice of gratitude. I am going to add empowerment behind this?
I think I'm listening a lot to Tara Brach. She has these amazing podcasts about these subjects that I'm talking about: gratitude, self-compassion, worthiness. And I think it was one of her podcasts that really lit the light bulb for me. And before many of my surgeries or after, if things weren't healing well, I would do some blog posts about that, kind of what I learned from her and kind of meshing it with my experience of this injury. And I think that's the culmination there. It was Tara Brach for sure.
Yeah.
And then meshing it with my own, experience.
Did you just stumble upon that podcast?
A friend of mine told me about her book, Radical Acceptance, when I was still dancing. And I read it, and I was like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
She just spoke my language. She's just incredible.
Yeah, she is. Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
She was a tool that, yeah.
Sorry, I don't want to cut you off there.
No. She definitely her teachings have been a tool for probably almost, I would say maybe a decade now. And so when I was injured and another friend of mine was listening to podcasts, I had realized, she has podcasts. Started listening to those, and her teachings really helped me through the muck, like through the tough times where I just felt really stuck. She just teaches you how to kind of be with it without judging it. And I think a lot of times we resist discomfort, we resist pain. We don't want to feel that because it's really hard to be there.
Oh, it's so true.
So, yeah.
I asked those questions specifically because I think it's fascinating how life kind of hands things to you in the order that it's handed, and what meaning we put behind each thing that we're handed. That was a little coded and vague, but I think you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and I realize when you're in severe pain daily, it is very, very easy to become a victim of it.
Yes.
I have family members who deal with it, and I've watched them suffer and become a victim to it, and it feels like there's nothing left in life. And so my observations is that, and then also actually feeling that and having a taste of that imprisonment that is self-inflicted. That was another awakening, I think. I was like, if this is going to be my life, if I'm going to be in pain every single day, I want to make the choice to not be imprisoned by it, because I don't have to be.
No.
And I think it's a really difficult choice to make when you're in the thick of it.
Oh, my goodness, no. And that is the part that astonishes me as well, because you can see, humans are designed for survival, not happiness.
Yeah.
And you can see people with all different degrees of woes, and tribulations and trials and what have you. And it's interesting to see, someone who can still do certain things, and they put so much weight on it where it really cripples their life emotionally. And then you have someone who is truly now like wheelchair ridden, and they are in the Olympics.
Yep.
And it's that value we put on a life event that alters your destiny.
Absolutely. Beautifully said. Yes. Yes. It is ultimately a choice. And for some, that choice is too difficult. And they say they may not have the tools or the resources or the support or whatever it is, you know? Yeah, like you said, and some are able to say, no, this event isn't going to define me.
Yeah.
And that's really powerful.
Oh my goodness, yes. Wow, that speaks to me so loudly. I would like to change gears with you, and I'm kind of curious what your views are in terms of relationships in the industry, the entertainment industry. And I mean that on a professional level, as it's a very small community. And I'm kind of curious what you've learned, what you've witnessed, what you've seen in regards to relationships.
That is another great question because they come in all shapes and sizes. And yes.
Oh, all
and,
shapes.
Oh, yes. And I think there can be a sense of competition, which can not be productive. I think there's a sense of what's the word I'm looking for? I think not being compassionate with each other.
Yeah.
For fear that, or happy for each other for fear that you may lose a job to another person.
Yeah.
I think people forget their own worth in those moments and see everyone as the enemy. And this isn't everybody, but that's a faction of, I think, our business.
A large one. Yeah.
So, yeah, a very large one. I've never felt that way. I always felt like I was my biggest competition. So the relationship with myself has always been the most tumultuous. I was always cheering for others in auditions, and I just wanted everyone to feel good. And that can be a rarity in this business, like I said, because I think a lot of us see each other as competition. And that's just so unfortunate. And I don't know how to bridge that gap in this profession. How do we see each other as just human beings who are trying to live our dream? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but I hope there's a way forward.
Yeah.
Where people are more compassionate with each other.
Well, yes. Like across the world, and then particularly maybe in theatrics, live theater, because, and Andrea Burns, when I interviewed her, she touched on this a lot, of just be the best version of yourself. No one can compete with that.
100%.
There's no competition, like literally. No, they can be the same weight, the same height, the same measurements, still no competition. Because you're simply so you. It's hard not to look at you.
Yes, and I think there's a lack of trust of that.
Yes.
In our community, which is so heartbreaking. I mean, it is hard to trust that you have enough to give. I think because it's the trickle down from the top, and casting and that whole part of this business that can be very demeaning and very ugly. And I think it's easy for us to kind of, I don't want to say take it out on each other, but look to each other for feelings of like that competition that arises, right? But it comes from the top down, I think, a lot of times. And it really breaks my heart. But I wish that our community could really trust that they bring the best version of yourself. And I think with more inclusivity, that needs to continue to occur. I mean, this is a huge issue. People maybe will be able to start trusting their uniqueness. That's my hope, that we can see evidence that you can be your unique self and get the job. No matter your, height, weight, race, that you are just as important as the person next to you.
Yes. Well
And I think that
said.
needs to change from the top down. Yeah.
Well, yes, it does, and very well said. Do you have a story of a previous contract leading you to the next one in terms of your behavior on the contract or what people witness of you working?
I've been really lucky in that respect. I was on the Sweet Charity tour, the Wayne Salento version, and I say Wayne Salento because he's a choreographer, but it was the gosh, I'm losing the word. The updated version of Sweet Charity.
Sure.
I'm saying the wrong word. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I
no,
can't
that's
find
fine.
it, but you know what I'm saying.
That's fine.
So I was on tour with Sweet Charity, and they were the same creative team that is on Wicked. And so after Sweet Charity, I directly got a job on the Wicked national tour. It was my first production contract. My first production contract. It was incredible. And I've been touring for many years. So that kind of propelled me. When I left the Wicked tour, I got an off-Broadway show, Rock of Ages. And then while I was in Rock of Ages, I was hired for Wicked Broadway because the same track had opened up. So that's kind of how I landed on Broadway with Wicked.
Wow.
I was very lucky. I had auditioned in the past for Wicked many years ago, but I feel really lucky that these things carried over in such a way for me. I know that that's not usual, so very grateful.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that because it really is such a small community, and everyone sees everything. Even if they don't see it, they hear it. It's small.
Oh, yes.
I'm curious.
100%. Nothing is missed.
Nothing is missed. No, literally nothing is missed. And I'm curious, with staying on that vein, are there common themes that you saw or see among top performing professionals in the industry? Yeah, and a little more specificity behind that with their behavior in the rehearsal room, their level of preparedness, their etiquette towards stage crew.
I noticed there was a high level of respect, and I would say all the productions, especially speaking just as an ensemble member, I always saw a level of respect for stage management and crew, and yeah, that's something that was definitely a common theme, that everyone treat each other with respect and dignity. There were a couple things that happened, maybe somebody was drinking, came to the show, they were terminated, stuff like that. But I think overall, in rehearsals especially, just really hardworking and just wanted to do a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think overall that's the theme. Of course, I will say, there's always exemptions, some that may not put as much into what they're doing during rehearsal. But overall, there was a sense of respect for each other and everyone.
And funny enough, even that is noticed by people, too. You've noticed it, and other people noticed it who hire.
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. One of my first jobs with Fosse, and this is about just not marketing rehearsal. I was so excited to be doing the material. It was a very big room, and so we were the three swings were in the corner. And I mean, I would not full out where I was trying to get noticed. It wasn't that. It was just that I just wanted to do the work so much.
Yeah.
And, I guess it was hard to witness if some were not doing the work full out. But that was a hard thing to see. You got a spot on the stage. And I just, that was a very hard thing to see, one of my first jobs. So that's a struggle sometimes. It's gosh, what a gift to be able to do it.
Yeah.
But it's not for everybody, I guess.
Yeah. What advice would you give someone on trusting the journey of their life?
Ooh, there's a Zen proverb that I've kind of started to try to live by or trust when things feel like they're really difficult, and it's the obstacle is the past. I think remembering that,
Yeah.
thinking, there's a door slamming in your face. There's a reason for that, and you're not going to want to know it. No, you don't even want to hear that at the moment. Nobody wants to hear that. There's a reason you didn't get it. You don't want to hear that immediately. But I think trusting that these doors that are closing are leading you to that open door, even if it may take 20 years, but trusting that.
Yeah. Can you repeat that one more time?
Oh, yeah. Oh, the obstacle is the past.
Obstacle is the past. I love that.
Yes.
It's so true, because even in that moment, after you get like the rejection phone call,
Oof.
it's over. Like, that's done, and now it's
Yeah.
how much weight do you want to put on it, and how much energy do you want to drain from yourself on it, because they've already moved
Yep.
on, and you should do the same.
Exactly, right? Easier said than done. And I think
Oh my goodness,
taking
yes.
that time to grieve,
Oh Lord, yes.
right? Of course, taking that time to grieve. But there are some that get locked in that rejection and then let it define them, which, like I said, like our culture, especially the dance culture, it's like, oh yeah, I'm not good enough anyway. And you start really berating yourself and you start tearing yourself down. Like, what am I doing in this business? You start questioning everything. And take that time to do that, but the next day or whatever time you need, if you need a couple days, get back out there. Because that's this business. It's more rejection than not. And it's really hard. But that says nothing about who you are as a person. And I think that's something that is really hard to remember sometimes. But we are so much more than that rejection.
Oh my goodness, we are.
And many, and I feel like many times it's not about our talent. Maybe the other person fit the costume, or, so much of it is not even about what we are delivering in that room.
I mean, yes,
So much
literally.
out of our control.
Most of the time it has nothing to do with your talent. I mean, once you're at a certain level where you're being invited into rooms to do things, like, everyone's good. Everyone can
Exactly.
do it. We just need to spend the least amount of money, or we need to find the person who has the right. I mean, it really has nothing to do with talent.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
I
goodness!
think it's something to remember, right? To just talk yourself down of like, okay, maybe it's because I had, blue eyes instead of brown. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows what it is? But it's like, to know that most of it is out of your control, and you did the best you could. I mean, that's really it.
That's priceless.
That's really it. Yeah. Yeah.
What advice would you give someone struggling in the divide between reality and their dreams?
Like the survival job, or keeping going.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe
trucking along.
like I need to pay the rent. Oof. I'm not sure the advice, but you hear stories all the time of now superstars or whatever, right? They get their first TV show or something. They were about to quit that day. So I think it's finding a balance of letting go of expectation, and not giving up on something that is truly fueling your soul. It's a really fine balance to know when it's time to let it go for good. And a lot of those times when you feel like it's time to let it go for good, sometimes that call comes.
Yeah.
So I think it's listening. I think it's just listening to what feels right inside. Maybe taking a break if it's just too exhausting. Taking a pause, coming back to it. It's tough because I think it's so personal for everybody. But I think it's about listening and about the letting go of expectation as much as possible.
Yeah. That's such a balance, because you want to hold firm in those expectations, but you want to be flexible in the outcome.
Right? Oh my gosh, it's so hard. In this business, it feels impossible.
Yeah.
Because to get your dream, you have to work really hard. You have to go to every audition. You have to put yourself out there. But I think listening to saying, like, now, what does my life look like? How exhausted and run down am I with maybe all these doors closing?
Yeah.
Maybe you take a break and say, right now I need to take some time for me to just give it a pause.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can create space, I think, that way. Sometimes we hold on so tight, and the space kind of disintegrates a little bit. It's a tough one, though. Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah, there was an interview I was listening to with Oprah, with her. It was like Super Soul Sunday, the one she does outside.
Yeah.
And they were talking about, and God forgive me, I can't remember his name, and that's just bad on my part. They were discussing how to will something into your life. And, saying, I want it, I want it, I want it, I need it, I need it, I need it, and then let it go. And when you need help, his acronym for help was Hello, Eternal Loving Presence. And recognizing that you are nothing in the whole picture of life and where your energy is supposed to be going, simply because, for whatever reason you believe it, where you belong. And it's so much bigger than just you wanting this thing. It's where can you in the big picture of life give the most impact with your energy and your life.
Oh my gosh.
And
yes.
I love that, because that's exactly what you're talking about. I just freaking love that. It can calm you down.
It really can. Because you're like, I'm a part of something so much bigger than myself.
Yes.
That is, I mean.
Oh, I just got chills when you said that. Yeah.
It's just so powerful to recognize that, because our world just gets so small, everything's so enclosed and tight, and you just feel like, if I don't get this, then I'm not, worthy of anything. Or it's like, gosh, but the world is bigger.
Yeah.
It's like, what is it? You are not I'm probably going to say this wrong. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are an ocean in a drop. I like that phrase as well.
Yeah. It's like that idea at the end of Men in Black with the marble on the cat's neck.
Oh, wait, you have to remind me. I'm terrible. Tell me about this marble.
Yeah, okay, so Men in Black, at the end of it, the whole galaxy is in like a little ball, and it's kept in a locker at like Port Authority. And at the end of it, these aliens are playing with the marble, and in that marble is our like galaxy. And it's like just how small we are on this one Earth.
Yes.
Just compared to life,
right?
what life is.
Yes.
And that's really great.
Remembering
too.
that.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, remembering, gosh, space is infinite, right? We're just this tiny planet floating around in the middle of
oh my God.
There's infinite space.
Yes. It's like infinitesimal. That's like we are just literally a drop on a windshield.
Yeah. Yeah, we are.
Before it gets wiped away, so make your mark. It's just like, wow.
Right. Yeah. Yep. Kindness and compassion cannot be, utilized enough in this world. I think that's.
Yes.
I mean, that's just.
Never underestimate.
That's my doctrine, I guess. That's something that if we just act out of compassion and kindness and empathy, I mean, that's our best selves, I think. If we show up with that, wherever we are, in the worst of times.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think a lot of healing could happen.
So much.
But, yeah. Yeah.
How are you staying in the light in this polarized world of darkness and light?
I think with choosing kindness and compassion.
Yeah.
When, I can, I get nosebleeds when I watch the news, and I get very, very shook up by it.
Huh.
And I think just taking a breath, turning off the news, which actually I've stopped kind of watching. I am watching a little more now just because of what's happening. I want to know where the answers are for what's happening currently at the border. But I think, I guess just remembering kindness and compassion that there are more of us that act in that way in this world, really trying to hold fast to that idea that there are more of us with kindness and compassion. The evil feels like it's really taken over, but just trying to trust that there are more of us with empathy and compassion.
Yeah, I love that. Are there any mistakes you've made that have proved essential in learning?
Oh my God, mistakes! Gosh, every day. Let's see.
Where to begin?
But no, the big ones.
Yeah, no, yeah, everyone that just comes to mind first.
Yeah. Gosh, I guess not trusting. I don't know if it's a mistake per se, but I guess the idea that for me, not trusting that I was worthy enough to exist. In general, I think that common theme that I've always felt. I know it's not a mistake, but it just feels like a common theme that has led me kind of this injury kind of awakened that in me and saying like, no, you're more than this injury. You're more than just a dance, not just a dancer, but being a dancer, you're worthy to exist and really trusting in that. I don't know. I think that theme has really taught me a lot to be able to kind of, I won't say rise above it because that sounds weird. Kind of move through it and get to the other side of it.
Yeah.
That just happened a couple months ago. This is very new for me to feel like I'm allowed to take up space, right? So I guess, I'm not sure I answered your question because I guess it's not a mistake, but it's something that I wish that I learned sooner, I think. But
yeah, well,
all in good time.
All in good time. And I ask it because I don't even think there are mistakes we make. We make things that could be labeled as a mistake in the moment, but if you're learning from it, there's growth. And what is life without growth? I mean, that's the whole point, is progress and growth. So, yeah, right there is like, I mean, you did answer my question.
Oh, and it just reminded me of something you said about there are no mistakes, but one of my yoga teachers back in February, people were making mistakes and people were feeling bad about it, with their practice teachers or whatever. She goes, you guys, life is one big mistake. And she said it in that way of like, okay, it's fine. Don't be so hard on yourself,
Yeah.
Like you said, if you're learning from them, it's growth.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing to be able to do that.
Yeah. I mean, shoot, I don't want to predict mistakes that I will make, but I'm sure there's more coming. It's all part of the all part of the journey. Yeah, we're simply human.
Yeah, it's what you do with it, right? It's how you get up after falling, and it's all of that.
I love
it's all of that. Yeah.
Do you have any most gifted books? Or books that stand out in your mind that you'd recommend?
I think Radical Acceptance by Tara Brach.
Okay.
I have to say that really was a turning point for me to find that nugget of self-compassion. Definitely that book. Gosh, I'm trying to think. I love The Prophet from Khalil Gibran.
Yeah.
I love that book. I open it every now and then and it's a small book and just read the passages. Sometimes just open it up and, see what's on that day. Just open it up and read. Gosh, it's a great question. I think those two are the most stand out for me.
Okay.
In this moment while we're speaking. Yeah. I'm sure there are many more. But those are definitely the standouts for me.
Yeah. Do you have any texts you refer to daily?
Daily.
Or is it that book? Is it The Prophet? You occasionally open it.
I think that would be my most daily or semi-daily read.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was doing Mark Nepo. He has like the 365. Let me read. Oh, it's called The Book of Awakening. this one is good. I need to get back on that. I lost my way with this one, but each day of the year there's a passage. So this is actually a great daily book. Thank you for the reminder, because I'm actually going to start reading it again.
Of course.
It's great. Yeah, so Mark Nepo, The Book of Awakening, fantastic.
Okay.
It says, having the life you want by being present to the life you have, which is the themes I think we've been touching on, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was having
Beautiful
the life
book.
you want. Oh, sorry, could you repeat?
Having the life you want, yeah. By being present to the life you have.
Yes. Okay. I love that. This is great. This conversation's filling me up, Nova.
Thank you. Me too. I'm so grateful.
Yes.
It's really, really special to share with you.
Yeah, I have two. I'm going to bring us down here to two left, and then we can wrap up. I am curious. I'm trying to find the best one to ask you. Do you have a favorite story of life happening for you?
I think we may have touched on it. I mean, professionally, I would say I think it was when I got the call to do another production.
Yeah.
Without auditioning, or, you know, just kind of getting the call and saying, that felt like life was happening for me. Even though I put the work in prior, that felt like one of those moments. Like, oh my gosh, I just get to join the company, and, you know, to feel wanted like that was a really neat feeling.
Yeah.
I think it's that, like, there's a reason for everything. Those things that happen, like, right when something really upsetting happens.
Yeah.
I think that's more of a timing thing. And that's not really advice. I guess it is a little. But I think maybe that, just in the moment of something that's really tough, hearing, it's okay. It's fine. You know, somebody just kind of not just being there and listening in the moment and just letting you have that
minute. Yeah.
feeling of rejection. Yeah. And just kind of moving on to the next. Well, it's fine. Just move on. Like, well, just give me a minute. You know, I think those things are hard when you're in the business, where you're not given that time to just have that moment of grief, and then you move on when you're ready.
Yeah. Is there a word or phrase or quote, metaphorically speaking, that you would put on a billboard for millions of people to see?
Oh my gosh. Can I use something that's already been written, or no, I have to come up with it?
No, of course you can use something that's already been written.
Okay.
Oh, please.
I mean, I think the obstacle is the past is
Yeah.
definitely something that really speaks to me, at least. Yeah. Yeah, that's the one.
I love that. And we've dissected that too, which is just so great. This conversation has been such a joy and has shined such a light on me, my day, my life. So I really appreciate you sitting down or standing up, however you're positioned, to speak to me for this hour, Nova. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Clay. This really, truly was incredibly special for me to be able to share a little bit of my story with you and everyone.
Yes. And I
Thank
know anyone who hears this is going to learn, not just, internalize, but learn from it. So thank you. Where can we find you?
Well, I've got a little Yoga with Nova on Instagram.
Great.
That I put, some inspirational quotes daily, or yogawithnova.com is my website if you're interested in yoga classes, or just want to reach out. You can find me there.
Great. So Instagram is literally Yoga with Nova, and then website yogawithnova.com.
Yes, and actually there's a couple underscores. It might be yoga underscore with underscore Nova.
Perfect. I'll throw that
I
in the
apologize.
show notes.
Yep.
No, I can show. Yeah, I'll put it in the show notes so
Okay.
people can just click on it and find you.
Perfect.
Well, Nova, thank you very much. I hope you have a wonderful day. This has been a joy.
You too, Clay. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Nova Bergeron.
You've been listening to Entertainment X, the podcast. You can follow Entertainment X on Instagram at _EntertainmentX_. If you haven't yet, go to Apple Podcasts and subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. Join Clay next week for another curiosity conversation on Entertainment X. Thank you for listening.